start. So I'm going to be flashing these behind you as you go. Okay.
Okay.
Jody, you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Yep.
You guys, as promised, Hallberg has adopted this project. Oh my God, how many years now? 15 years?
Yeah.
Something like 15 years they have been running this project. The building is theirs. So I'm gonna let our friends here introduce themselves, say a few things about the company, your company, guys, and then go from there. So I'll let you guys start. And I'm gonna get out of your way here.
I will start. My name's Joe Banawa. I'm a graduate of this program in 2000. I started at Hallberg in 1999 as an intern, and worked there for a summer, and then they hired me on full time in 2000 after I graduated. It's been the only company I've worked for pretty much straight out of here. Um, Kind of my background, I guess. My father was an electrician. My brother is an electrician. So I kind of started the program kind of thinking I was gonna go into the construction part of it. Kind of changed my mind kind of partway through the first year, and stuck with the ECDM part of it. Been happy with it. Kind of decided to. I was originally intending on going into the construction part of it, becoming an estimator, because with this program, kind of two different paths, maybe even more than that. But when I was going to school here, it was kind of half the guys in my class went to be estimators, project managers. Half the guys went to engineering firms to become designers, project managers. So first couple of years at Hallberg, all I really did was pick up red lines and AutoCAD and just kind of work with the engineers. Didn't really do too much of my own design work. Just kind of worked with the engineers. Like I said, picked up their red lines. They kind of scribbled their thoughts on the paper, and then I put it into CAD. And kind of as things went on, I guess I slowly became kind of running my own projects even slower, as slow as I think the first couple of projects I ran were fire alarm replacement projects, which doesn't sound very exciting, but it was a spot to start for me. So going to a school and put a new fire alarm system in, start from scratch, design it, go in there, find out what type of system is in there, make up demolition drawings to get rid of all the old devices, and then design a new system to go in there, and then bid it out to fire alarm contractors, select the lowest bid, work with the owner, go through construction, make sure that the contractor is putting in the devices where I designed, just kind of work with the contractor, and kind of that whole process. So that was kind of a smaller version of the larger projects that I'm working on now that I've been with Hallberg for almost 15 years. I've kind of come to be running much larger projects on my own. Actual new buildings, new schools, big remodel projects. Pretty much doing what the higher level engineers do, but without being able to sign the drawings. So at Hallberg, we kind of believe in checking each other's work. So I'll do a project from start to finish in design, and then hand it over to Tim or one of the other guys in our office to check it, and then the engineer of record will sign the drawings. So he won't actually do any of the design, but he'll check all of my work, make sure that he's all right with putting his name on my design. And also, it's kind of a trust thing too. I've worked with these guys for a while, so they kind of know the quality of work that I put together. So putting their name on it, that's the difference between a designer and an engineer. 2-year degree versus 4-year degree, but also they're the ones putting their name on it. They're the ones giving liability. So they have to make sure that they're comfortable with the product that I put out. So I'm gonna probably end up going through this this spec here, kind of the everything about the project. I'll let Tim talk a little bit about himself. Tim's the president of Hallberg Engineering, but if you want to say a little bit about yourself.
Well, I too come from a family of electricians. My dad was an electrician, two uncles, my brother. And I started out as an electrician. I always wanted to be a consulting engineer, but my dad, being an electrician, said, if you're going to do that, you go learn to be an electrician first and know how to put this stuff in. And I started off in England. I originated from England. I worked in London with design build firms, like firms over here like Hunt and Parsons. Then when I was about 30, I wanted to do something different, so I came to the States, and I've been here nearly 30 years. Joined Hallberg about a couple of years after Joe, I think, as a project manager, and I still work as a project manager. I'm in the electrical department. Although I run the company, Joe asked me to serve. Joe owns the company. He asked me to serve. Joe Hallberg, yeah. He asked me to serve as president for a couple of years because, you know, someone basically has to run the day-to-day and the financial side of it. But I do try and stay involved with projects. Big believer, like Joe said, of checking each other's work. Two heads are better than one. And we mainly do schools, although we have a huge retail department that does shops and stores all over the country. We have a big commissioning department that does a lot of commissioning in basically in the 5-state area. And then we do lots of odds and ends, churches and whatever comes our way. So that's a little bit about us. Kind of like to know who we're talking to. Is anyone here electrician that's retraining? Or?
I am. Journeyman.
So you should know how all this goes together.
Yeah.
You guys want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
That would be good.
Start, Jamie.
Jamie Pauls, second year.
I'm Brian Lundberg, second year.
And Brian worked for Excel. You guys mentioned where you work.
I'm Zach Lindberg, second year. I work at Northern Electric Contractor.
Okay. Jeff Johnson, like I said, I'm a journeyman electrician. I'm a IBW 110 member. Just started working for Minot Enterprises.
I'm Joe Barris. I work at EV Company. Adam Peterson, unemployed.
I'm Darren Olson, similar to Jeff. I'm a journeyman electrician.
I'm Andrew Chu. I work at West Electrical Contractor.
Jerry Gillette, I work at Beth Electrical.
Thank you.
Available.
Well, Joe runs this show, so I'm just here for support and questions at the end. So I'm going to sit down and turn it over to Joe.
Actually, I think I'll start with the speakers. I'll just kind of run through that, Chad.
Yep.
So, well, actually, October 2nd, we're here. Kind of going to introduce the project. Like I said, I'm going to go through the scope of electrical systems. I'm going to kind of fly right through it. You might have questions, and feel free to ask questions, but a lot of it, you know, you're going to, it'll make sense as you go, as speakers come in, as Chad does his lessons. But like I said, ask questions. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to be in a couple of times throughout the year. So when I come in, I guess, if you have questions about the project, I'm kind of going to rely on Chad to be the teacher of the class. So you can ask me design questions, and I might tell you how I would do it, but it might not be the way that Chad would do it. There's kind of different ways to design things, different ways to lay things out. There's many right answers to fire alarm design, to circuiting up or sizing your service. There's different ways to do it. So I'm going to kind of rely on Chad to teach the class. You can ask me questions and I'll give you my opinion. But I think Chad is kind of your #1 resource on stuff like that. Same thing with Revit questions. I know Revit. I've been trained in Revit. I was taught originally in CAD. We still do a lot of our work in CAD. Probably, I'd say about 80% of the work that we push out of our company is still in AutoCAD. We have a few clients that are demanding that we work in Revit, and we have people capable of it. But I guess like I said, I work in it. But I am by no means an expert at Revit. Chad is by far past me in Revit experience and knowledge. So especially the last, I think, year and a half, I've actually been pretty much only in CAD because I've strayed away from the projects that we used to do in Revit. And Revit is one of those things that if you're not continuously working in it, you lose it. So if I sat down and tried to do, we did a bunch of the retail projects we did a bunch of old country buffets that were only in Revit, and the client wanted those specifically in Revit, and then they kind of shut down. They quit doing that project, so I pulled off of that, and now I'm kind of back on the school work. But if I sat down right now today and tried to do one of those old country buffets, I bet I'd kill the budget in a day because I've struggled so much. So ask Chad for Revit questions, I guess, is the point of that. So October 9th, we got Todd Christensen from Cutler Hammer coming in. He's going to talk a little bit about power distribution, different types of panels, breakers versus fuses, kind of motor control centers versus just a regular panel, just the differences. He'll probably bring in a catalog for you. They're already here?
They're already there.
Oh, there you go. Yep. So he'll talk a bunch about differences. I would try to we set up these speakers kind of as a resource for you guys. These are mostly, not all, but mostly salesmen that work for, I guess they kind of work for us. They work, they come to us to say, hey Joe, put Cutler Hammer stuff on your projects. Specify Cutler Hammer panels on your projects, and we say okay, because Cutler Hammer is a good product. But then I call Todd and I say, hey, I have Cutler Hammer in my spec. Can you go to Dunwoody for me and teach the kids the different? I shouldn't say kids, but you guys are probably older than me, so teach the guys differences between fuses and breakers, and show them all the differences and all of that stuff. So move ahead to October 10th. I'm going to come in again and talk about riser diagram versus one line diagram, and I think we've kind of gone with a riser diagram now on this project. Is that true, Chad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think a lot of firms out there are pretty much stuck with the riser diagram. Tim, do you know if anyone uses one lines anymore?
Yeah, some people do in town.
Yeah, there's differences between. It's just a different way of showing things, a different way of designing things on paper as far as your distribution system for a building. So I'll kind of go over the differences in that. October 23rd. We got one of the guys from Davis. I think it's usually Jeff. I don't know if that changes or not, but it's one of the guys from Davis will come in and talk about Visual. And Visual is a lighting design program that's made by Acuity Brands Lighting. So it's made by Acuity, but you can basically use it to design for any light fixture, a Cooper fixture, a Daybright fixture. But that he's just going to go over. That's another program that you'll use to help you design the lighting in each of the rooms, because we specify in the spec a certain foot candle level that we want in each of the rooms. So October 24th, Jerry Stanton from Square D is going to go over motor control, kind of starters, different kinds of starters, disconnects, etc. October 30th, lighting control speaker. On this project, we specify a lighting control panel, which is a relay panel and lighting control is kind of a name that we use, but it controls more than just lighting. We actually specify this relay panel to control like the coffee pot in the office. So when the security system is armed at night, if somebody left the coffee pot on, that relay panel will sweep off all the circuits, not only the lights that people left on, but it will sweep off that coffee pot so it's not burning all night long. So he'll go over, and I think he has an example. He might have even left it here. I don't know, or does he bring one every year?
He brings one, and we do have a lighting panel in our lab. But he brings a really nice panel that you can push buttons, turn things on and off with occupancy sensors and low voltage switches. Really cool.
November 6th, occupancy sensors. Sounds kind of basic, you know, it's a motion sensor in the ceiling that shuts off the lights and turns it on when you walk in the room, but there is different types. There's ultrasonic, there's microphonic, there's dual technology, there's passive infrared. So just kind of the differences, where you use which technology, and kind of the basics on occupancy sensors. So November 14th, fire alarm. That will probably be me. I will just come in and give a generic fire alarm speech, just kind of on design, different design trends that as far as layout of horn strobes and smoke detectors and duct smokes and where you need them and where where we need to monitor the fire sprinklers and stuff like that. So. And November 27th, we got Jerry Boggs from Interstate Power coming in to talk generators. I don't know if he still uses the Cummins software. Does he?
We use Cummins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he'll come in and he'll probably run through that, and he'll also, ask him questions where you use natural gas versus diesel, stuff like that. Different types of generators. December 4th, this must be something you are setting up, Chad, the SKM, or
yes.
is this going to be you?
I'm the default, but I would like to bring probably somebody. I don't know, you guys, do you have somebody from SKM? Do you use SKM engineers? Or because usually we have Shad Cooley.
Yeah.
They do a speaker for SKM, and I was thinking if you guys don't have somebody, I can call Shad and they can come to do SKM. So either way.
We do have someone, but he travels a lot, so you might be better off.
Okay, not a biggie. Yeah, we'll find them.
And then December 12th is kind of the tour of the building that you were designing through this time, and then we feed you lunch. And then obviously, questions, you can bring any final questions to when you come to our office and walk through and look at things. Sometimes it's different when you put it on paper versus when you actually see what was installed. And I guess, and then you guys' presentations are 17th through the 21st. So,
And we will have a beer after that.
Yeah. So I will. I'll run through the scope of electrical systems. I'm going to kind of fly through it. So if something completely doesn't make sense, ask. Just interrupt me. I don't care. The one thing.
Do you want to orient them through the building a little bit first before?
Yeah, I can do that.
Be referring to on the scope a lot.
Yep. I'll kind of point around in the building here, but I guess the fact that one of the things that I learned when I was going through this course is, especially since some of you guys are already seasoned electricians, and I don't know if any of when I was going through, there was a couple of guys, including myself, that were pretty much right out of high school. So there's a big variety of people, probably in this class, similar to what my class was. And I would say, help each other, use each other as resources, similar to when I design a project and I have Tim check my work. If you've got guys that that understand it, and there might be a guy that's done a bunch of security work, or there might be a guy that's done a bunch of low voltage or fire alarm work. He might be your resource when you start designing your fire alarm system. I just use each other, I guess, is kind of my only advice on that. I'll kind of go through the building here. This is this must be CAD, yeah. Okay, so this is the main entrance to the building is kind of right here. And this is, the building has had a little bit of remodeling, especially since this.
You want me to do that one here?
Yeah, I guess we can flip back and forth.
Yeah.
Even from this plan, we've done a little bit of remodeling, and I think you'll notice that when you come and see the tour. But this is probably more accurate than the other one. So main entrance, come in to a reception area here, conference rooms and private offices there on that wall. Kind of the bullpen cubicle area. We've got 2 rows of island cubes that will need to be fed from floor boxes, and then a row on the sidewall there of wall cubes, and then there's another row up top there of a couple. Break room, lunch room, and then another private office right next to that. Kind of swing over into the this is kind of what we call, right, I think in your plans it's called the library, or in the scope. It's actually gone now. We used to keep catalogs for Cutler Hammer and Lithonia and everything, but catalogs kind of became, I don't know, for my generation, maybe not for Tim's, but
Only the old guys have them now. I'm the only one that's got any catalog.
Yeah, no,
Everyone
it's-
else is online. And
yeah. So we kind of got rid of our library and we changed it into usable space. But for this exercise, that's your library. Print room kind of back here, and some file storage. So big printers, large format printers are in here. And then mail room. So yeah, right in there. Some smaller printers, mailboxes for everyone. This little room right here in the back side of the mail room is the server room. So that's where all of our servers are located. And then kind of the main reception area up here. And on the other side here, this is another private office right here, but on the other side, some more cubes, both on a wall, so you'll be able to get power to them from there. A couple of private offices down here, and then restrooms on top. And right next to the restrooms, that's our mechanical room with the air handling unit and the boiler house. So it's kind of a quick down and dirty tour.
at the back of that is the transformer and the condensing unit.
Yep.
And we don't actually have a generator, but we get you guys to design one.
We have a backup generator.
Yep, right outside of the mechanical room there is where the condensing units, the transformer, and the generator will be. But like Tim said, we don't actually have a generator. We have battery bug-eye fixtures for emergency egress, and a UPS for our server room, but no generator. So I think we can go to the scope now. So it's a 10,000 square foot building. We want you to design for a 5,000 square foot addition. So keep that in mind when you're sizing your service. Don't, if you come up with 370 amps, don't put in a 400 amp service, because then we won't have any, expansion capacity for when we do add this 5,000 square foot addition. 1.2 alternatives. We were just kind of talking, and I think we should change this. An alternate, and I'm going to talk. Maybe you all know what an alternate is. Maybe you don't, but I'm going to talk as if you don't. So, an alternate is when you're bidding a project, and the budget for the project is a little bit in question one way or the other. So the engineer might design one way and then design a second way that's maybe a little bit less in cost, or it could be more in cost. But so if the project comes in over budget, they can take this other alternate and still have a designed system that has lighting for this open office area, but it might be a deduct of $5,000. So if you put in this alternate lighting instead of what you designed for the base bid lighting, you can save $5,000. So that would be a deduct alternate. So basically, you're going to design the open office lighting, which is, if you can kind of switch to the open office is this main large area here. You're going to design the lighting for that space twice. And it says the alternate is provide 2x4 3-lamp recessed lay-in parabolic fixtures in lieu of indirect light fixtures. Well, parabolics were really, really popular in 1990 when, or maybe even a little bit later than that, I guess they remained popular, but I don't know of anybody that puts in parabolics anymore. So this is kind of, well, you'll find this might be out of date in more ways than that. But let's just, if you guys have your thing in front of you, let's scribble that out. And so the base bid is still going to be the indirect light fixtures, which we'll get to talking about that. But let's stick with the alternate here. And let's go with a 2x4 let's see here. We want let's just go with a 2x4. We'll make it kind of a little bit simple, but a 2x4 LED lensed troffer. So it will be exactly like this fixture right here. This is a lensed troffer, except this is fluorescent. So we want you to design it with an LED source. So that's when the guys from Acuity come in and talk about visual, you will want to ask him specifically this question. You will want to say, we have an alternate for this project to design the open office lighting with LED troffers. What fixture should I use? Or you can do a little bit of research on the Lithonia Acuity website also and try to figure out what fixture you should be using. When he goes over the visual software, there's different lumen packages, which LEDs are different than fluorescents. Instead of doing 3 lamps or 2 lamps, you specify it with 1,000 lumens or 2,000 lumens. So that will be something you'll need to figure out, because we indicate how many foot candles we want in the open office area. So you'll need to design this alternate meeting that foot candle level with these new fixtures. Make sense? Okay. Since you got your scopes out, assumptions, I think we have them design all the low voltage. Is that correct?
Yeah, outlets and jacks and wires just for estimating too.
Okay. So it says here, the owner will provide a main telephone system. I want to make it clear that I guess, yeah, you can assume that there's going to be a main telephone system that exists in the building. You don't need to coordinate with Quest or whatever they are, CenturyLink to make sure there's phone. You don't need to do any of that. But you are going to need to show phone jacks, show data jacks, and indicate, how many or what wires going to different jack locations as far as your design. So kind of under this assumptions that at one time we had this project where you didn't design any of the low voltage because a lot of times owners will want to do their own low voltage, or they'll have electrician come in and install all the receptacles in the building, and they'll just put an empty J box next to the receptacle where the data outlet will go, and then the building will get built, the electricians will leave, and the owner will hire his own separate low voltage installer to come in and put in the data jacks. Well, so at one time we just had you put in rough in only for data. Well, now as part of this project, that's kind of through the years we've kind of modified it a little bit. We actually do want you to design, show the wire, show the Cat 5 wire going to or how many jacks we want at each location. So same thing with data jacks, phone jacks. I guess you can definitely assume that we're going to provide our own. You don't need to provide us with a VCR. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit out of date, but moving on. 1.4 kind of lists some codes that.
Joe, can I
yep.
just clarify this one for the kids, for the students? What we did, guys, in the past is we just, in Revit, you show all the low voltage. That's it. So to be able to throw all these outlets in Revit, and then when we did the estimating, we get into estimating these. That's just an estimating class. So we didn't really get into the wires that gets into the outlets in the design part. We just showed the location of
You
these
just show
outlets.
the location.
But when we go do takeoffs, then you have to take into consideration the cables that's going to it, and the jacks, and the boxes, and the conduits. And that will be in the spring when you guys do a takeoff for this project. So as far as you're concerned right now, all what you're doing is just throwing symbols in Revit. That's like we did in the residential project. So that's
okay. Yeah, 1.4 just has some codes that you will possibly need to reference. Obviously, the electrical code, ADA, life safety code, energy code, building code. Moving on to 1.5. This is where we as an owner, pretending like this is my building, I'm handing you this criteria, or in a real project, I would sit down with the owner in a meeting and probably talk about this stuff. A lot of owners don't know what a foot candle is. They just know that they want enough light in a private office to work on a computer. But we are an engineering firm, so we know exactly what we want, and we kind of laid it out here. Gave you all the foot candle levels, and these are average foot candle levels that we want. So you will do your calcs with the visual software, and it will give you a maximum number, it will give you a minimum number, and it will give you an average number. So the receiving room, we want 20 foot candles in there, but we don't just want 20 foot candles. We don't want 20 foot candles everywhere. We want an average of 20 foot candles.
you guys want to write yourself a note that this is an average. When we use visual, the students get confused between, because visual will give you max, minimum, and average. So make sure you know these are the average values.
We specify different types of fixtures that we want. You can see in restrooms 113 and 114, we want parabolics. I'm not going to make it any more confusing. We'll just leave leave all of this will remain the same. The only thing that I'm changing is the alternate, which we want the LED droppers. So, and I'm not even sure if they will end up being, if that will end up being a deduct or an add alternate, because the if you look down in open office.
Now, Joe, would it hurt your feeling if they did everything LEDs?
I guess it wouldn't hurt my feelings, no.
No, I was just wondering because what do you guys think? Is the LEDs are they becoming too common, right, in offices, or no, or yes, or
Well, everybody wants them, but no one
they're
can afford
expensive?
them. They're coming down in price, and they're starting to make more sense.
Okay.
But
We're working on
primarily-
two pretty big projects right now, and I think one of them is Minneapolis schools, and they won't mind me sharing. They really want to start moving their classrooms to LEDs,
Okay.
but there are no rebates from Excel at the moment. So I'm actually leaving here to go to a meeting with Excel and Minneapolis schools because we're trying to get a rebate scheme going for LEDs, which will make them more cost effective.
Okay.
So it's coming, but this particular job, I think if Excel gives them a rebate, Minneapolis will do it. If they don't, it's probably not going to be cost
No,
effective. But their long-term strategy is to move to LED lighting.
The reason I'm saying this is because next project last year we did it all LEDs. Maybe we should keep this one so they get used to this type of
It's
technology too.
not a bad idea,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
I guess as long as the style of fixture
Yeah.
is, then you get to know different, because I remember sitting here and Hallberg coming in, Paul and Jim, and talking about a troffer and a parabolic, and I had no idea what the heck they were talking about. So just to know the different terms, the different types of fixtures that are out there, I guess is
Okay.
something that I think is valuable. So I'll leave it up to you, but as long as the foot candles, the styles of fixture are the same. Just to give you an idea, like a fixture like this, like I said, if you buy it, if you buy a specification grade, which means a little bit better, not like a residential or a cheaper grade troffer like this, you can get them for about $50 to $60 if they're fluorescent. You buy an LED version of the exact same thing, they're probably around 200. So yes, they burn, they consume half the wattage, but do your calculations to make up that payback. It's going to be a while, even including the fact that you don't have to change lamps in an LED fixture. The payback just still isn't quite there. If they come down a little bit more, if they were more like, instead of being 3 times as much, if they were just twice as much, maybe the payback would be in the 5-year area where it would pay itself back. But right now it's closer to 10 years to get a payback from a fixture that consumes half the wattage but costs 3 times as much. So just a little tidbit there.
We have moved to some LEDs, right? Our parking lot is LED. Did we do the security line, the perimeter?
Yeah, yep, yeah.
That's LED, and we've got a few LED cans in the reception area.
Yeah, we've changed out a few fixtures in our office building to LEDs. Parking lot lighting we did. Excel actually does offer rebates for building mounted or canopy mounted LEDs. So like parking garages, it makes a ton of sense to put LEDs in now because the rebates are so big for LEDs. So it's Excel's following, and I think it'll happen soon, where they will offer this as a custom or as a standard rebate. Right now, what Tim's probably going to do is try to convince Excel to make it a custom rebate. So they realize the advantages of putting LEDs in, but it's not a standard rebate like you get when you change out your old air conditioner to a high efficiency condensing unit, something that's standard that they've done with millions of houses every year. So it will happen, and I think and I've been saying it will happen for a while now, but I think it's within the next maybe year or two even at the most, but it's on its way. So So kind of goes through also the different controls that we want for each room in the receiving room. We want an occupancy sensor to control the lights in there. In the corridors, we want switches. Conference room, we want a dimming system, which we can kind of go over as we get to it. That's one of the items moving on. Parking lot. On the next page, we actually talk about HID cutoff on a 30-foot pole. Like I said, that's what we did have. We had 400 watt metal halides. We've changed them out to LEDs, but I'll kind of leave that up to Chad if he wants to have you guys design it with metal halides or with LEDs. I think that's pretty much it. Lighting control panel 1.6 explains first letter A kind of explains what a lighting control panel is, and lighting control panel is my generic term, my slang term. It's not always called that. It's called relay panel probably by a lot of people. Like I said, it doesn't only control lighting, or it doesn't have to only control lighting. So we want pretty much all the lighting in the building routed through this lighting control panel. So last person leaving at night, every light in the building could be on, but as he puts in his code to arm the system, it will sweep off every light fixture inside the building. So that way nothing is left on all night. So including the coffee pot. 1.7 talks a little bit about the conference room dimming system. It's just we want there's a bunch of little dimming systems. Lutron is one of the manufacturers that makes a good one. If you want to just sketch that down when you get to that's Lutron. They make a good little mini dimming system. There's you can get huge dimming systems, obviously, for auditoriums and stuff like that. But this is just a single dimming system with a few different zones. We've got a few different types of lighting in the conference room. We just want to be able to control it. Dim the fluorescence, turn on just the wall washes when we're doing a presentation, different stuff like that. So power, again, you normally design a building, you don't get information like this, but just kind of, we're saying we're an engineering firm, so we are very specific on what we want in our building. So, but, when we meet with an owner at the beginning of a project, we don't get this. They don't hand us this and say, in the receiving room, I want one receptacle for 1,000 square feet. They say, I want a receiving room, and I don't know what kind of power I'm going to need in there. I might need something, but I'm not sure. So this kind of lays out every single room, what we want for power receptacles in each of those spaces, and if they're GFI, if they're standard, if they're TVSS receptacles. So it also talks about the open office, I believe, the floor boxes. If you read note 1, so this is powered modular furniture in the, can you flip to the 4th line there, Chad? So these island cubes here, we call them, it's powered furniture, which means that the receptacles are already built into the cubes. So what you need to do is you need to go underground and bring power to a single point and connect to these cubes, and then the receptacles are already built into them. And the data will also need to come underground to these things. We don't want any power poles like these guys. We want everything. This is a brand new building. Everything comes from below. So it's kind of always one that we have a lot of questions on. But as you get to it, I guess we've done it enough. If I'm here, you can ask me, or Chad knows what's going on also, and he's seen it too. So, building equipment kind of just goes through a list of numbers, and is it the CAD drawing that has the numbers on it? So, you'll have to probably switch back and forth between your CAD drawing and your Revit drawing that you're designing on, because I think the only thing that has the numbers on it, if you look here, we got 1 and 2 and 3 and all these 22s and 23s. This explains what that is. So item number 12 is a copier. Item number 13 is a laser printer. Obviously, these are locations where we want power. Electrical service, 2.2. We want a 208 123 phase 4-wire service. You have to size it, find out how large it needs to be amp-wise. Again, it needs to be sized to handle a 5,000 square foot addition. Kind of lists what we want fed out of the main distribution panel. We want PVSS surge suppression on the main service. 2.4 just states the different power distribution panels that we need. 2.5, mechanical equipment. Everything is listed here. The amps, the running load amps, if you need to provide a disconnect or not. Everything you need for mechanical equipment is listed here. And if there's something you can't find, you should also have the actual cut sheets that Chad should have given you.
Yep.
For each of the condensing unit, the exhaust fans, the boiler pumps. So you should be able to get all the information you need when you're sizing your wire and your circuits to those pieces of equipment from there or the cut sheets. Standby generator. I guess, obviously we got the speaker coming in. He'll talk a little bit about that. 2.7 security system. We talk about that we want motion detectors, we want glass break sensors, we want an audible alarm, a keypad at the main vestibule. When I come in and talk fire alarm, I'll kind of talk a little bit about security also, but it's a pretty basic security system. Fire alarm system, like I said, I'll go over that when I come back in. Technology raceway system 2.9. This explains where we want the outlets, data, and voice. So these will be the different symbols that you show on your drawing, and when you take it off for your estimate, you'll take it off, including the wire. So I think that's pretty much it. Is there any questions on any of those items? Okay. You have anything else, Jeff?
No, do you guys have any? So the way we worked in the past, guys, with Hallberg, like Joe said, your friend Chad is going to be the authority having jurisdiction here, so I'm going to be correcting your projects. We never had any conflict, right? We always, there's so many ways of doing the same thing. We used to do riser. I'm an engineer. I came from the one-line diagram because we do short circuit analysis on them. But with Revit, we moved completely into the riser right now because the Revit is really cool. You can do a cool riser in Revit. So there's certain things you're going to hear different opinions, and I'm sure you guys will hear a lot of good opinions, different opinions, but they're good opinions. So you're going to take advantage of all the speakers that's going to come here. Very a group of very important and expert people who are going to walk into here to tell you guys about generators and everything else. So take advantage of it. And we look forward to the project. So, and Revit, speaking of Revit, I mean, we accumulated enough knowledge in Revit to run the class. none of us is an expert in Revit. I think probably there are experts in Revit. I'm not one of them, but we have enough knowledge in the here to run the project in Revit. We've done it for 4 years now, so and so that was a concern a little bit. So we're good. We have the families. I want to walk you through today how to set up the Revit, all the sheets, and so forth. And we have what 60% of the class are working, so we still have 4 to go, guys. If you are busy when you get busy and to hire, so that's what I tell them. People come here also to hire, so Hallberg and everybody else will be here looking for things. So I think.
All right.
I think we're good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Let me just get you here.